our first panel. I'm hoping that everybody is available because I would really like to get into this discussion. Now, our first panelist is Mr. Are Adetola Emmanuel King, the Group Managing Director of Adron Homes and Properties, and he's going to be represented by the Group Director, Bureau of Legal Affairs. Please let's give him a round of applause. Or her rather, Ms. Shola Orumuyiwa. Please let's give her a round of applause. And our second panelist, our second speaker, has garnered over 2 decades of experience across Africa and Europe in marketing, market expansion, revenue optimization, and strategic planning. Now, with an MBA from Alliance Manchester Business School, United Kingdom, he is known for his expertise in investment, development, and asset management. Now, let's welcome on stage Mr. Tola Akinsuleri.
Yes.
Let's give him a round of applause. He is the Chief Commercial Officer of Mixter Africa. And our third, last but not the least, panelist is going to be joining us to speak on this topic, urban migration dynamic strategies for sustainable real estate development. Now, who we can say is a wealth of knowledge. Now, he is Quantity Surveyor Bamidele Mafiliteo. Let's give him a round of applause. And apologize for that disruption of your day. All right, let's get right into it. Just can I have a second mic up here? You're welcome. You're welcome, everyone. And let's go straight into it. Now, this session is going to be focused on urban migration dynamics and the significant role it plays in shaping real estate development strategies, especially in rapidly growing cities. Example, Lagos. As more people move into urban areas, the demand for housing and commercial spaces increase, leading to both opportunities and challenges for sustainable development. Now, for my first question, I'm going to be directing the question. Should I direct it or are you going to pick who is going to answer? Okay, I will pick. All right, now our first question is on urban migration trends and how it has become an economic and social issue in Nigeria today. Now, how exactly do these trends influence real estate development and what key challenges and opportunities do they present? I'll be directing my question to Ms. Shola Orumuyiwa.
I would say that let me start with the opportunities. First off, which is no. So I'll start with the opportunities, which is more housing needs, that's housing demand. That's very key, that's the norm. Secondly, you have a ready market, so that no matter how many real estate developers that we have ready market available. And then we also look at the area of the ready market, then the area of making sure that the cost advantage, you have cost advantage in terms of you can play with your cost, in terms of you can bring your cost lower to gain competitive advantage over your competitors. That's another opportunity that you have. And then you can play with, you can introduce off-plan sales also to bring in the housing development. Then when it comes to the issue of challenges, we're going to look at challenges in 2 different areas. Challenges on the part of the migrants, and then challenges on the part of the developers, the real estate developers. For the real estate developers challenge, some of the challenges are, we have issues with land acquisition, ready land available here in Lagos. We know that where we have land right now is on the axis of Badagry, Ibejuleki, Efe axis. So with that, we can't really play with options in terms of premium estate options, because if you have a market demand for maybe the central of Lagos State, really, for instance, where my senior colleague is from, you know that you may need to go into redevelopment, not just fresh or virgin purchase of land. And then when it comes to another challenge that we can also look at is the high cost of building materials, which is really affecting real estate developers right now. It's been a very major topic in the REDA, that's our professional body association. It's been a very major topic to us. And then we look at the issue of project financing. We know that some real estate developers need to get funds to execute their project. Coming to the aspects of the migrants now, the first thing that comes to mind naturally is cost. That's access to funds. And then I was looking at, I'm so happy that our first speaker, our Honorable Commissioner, made mention of rent-to-own initiatives of Lagos State. And I would also, Honorable Commissioner, sir, I would pledge with us, Lagos State government, to encourage private developers involvement. Because if you don't remind us that you have this initiative available, we have the access to the target market. We have these clients, these projects that come to us. So if you can try and see if you can partner with private developers so that we can really encourage and grow this initiative, sir. That's for that. Then also, when we look at another challenge for the migrants, it's unparalleled cost, I can call it that. They don't have options, limited options to choose from in the market. So that we know that people play with prices, play with cost of housing or even rentals. So they don't have that choice. Just, okay, this is what I want and that's what I want. Then the issue of unemployment comes into play. The issue of unemployment of these people, of this set of people that are migrating into the urban areas. So I think for me it's in two ways. You just need to look at it in two ways and look for solutions to the problem.
All right, thank you very much. Now, speaking about financing, I know that you have been able to finance several causes, and Mr. Tola, you've been able to finance several causes when it comes to development of real estate. Now, how exactly has that been? What has been the struggle in those areas?
Okay, thank you very much. I think first and foremost, the beauty about everybody in this room is that almost everybody in this room understands the problems that we all face every day when you literally have to negotiate whether you are speaking with a financial institution. Interestingly, a couple of weeks back, I was speaking with another developer, and he sort of gave me what you would call like a slap on the back of the head, saying, you guys are the big developers. You can basically walk to the banks, and the banks will basically say, okay, let's do something with you. We, the small developers, nobody likes us, everybody hates us. We basically want to go to the garden to eat worms. But really, I think we need to look at solving this problem in a different direction. We all have the same problem. So, saying how we've been able to solve it on a piecemeal basis, I don't think that should be the approach that we should look at it. So, the problem of funding projects is a general problem across the industry. So, what are the opportunities that we have as a collective that we can actually change the narrative? The biggest providers of capital still represents the bank. But of course, we all know that at this point in time, if you want to lend from a bank, you're basically looking at rates over 20%. But are there opportunities whereby we can come together as a collective, for example, as we did, whereby we can actually drive policy? For example, the CBN recently raised the cash reserve ratio to give or take about over 40% recently. Are there opportunities? Now, the way in which I look at real estate as a significant catalyst to the economy. We are all familiar with the value chain. Once you start a real estate project, it creates at least 5 to 6 jobs, whether directly or indirectly. So that means if we can convert, for example, Lagos State to effectively a manufacturing project site, you basically are going to create multiplier jobs. So, is it possible for us to actually collectively, as practitioners within this industry, actually make presentations to the government and like, look, you have opportunity for you to actually stimulate growth. Everybody's complaining about the problem we all have in the industry. I mean, the economy. Employment is difficult, etc. Real estate can be used as a catalyst. So, I'm not really just going to be speaking in terms of what we've been able to do. Yes, what we've been able to do may not align with what every other person is doing because, yes, we're a bigger real estate player. And so, for me, I look at it in terms of what can we do on an industry basis. So, looking at, for example, the cash reserve ratio that the banks currently keep, is it possible for us as a collective to actually push something that allows the banks to be able to use that part of that cash reserve ratio to use it to invest in projects for real estate? And it's still going to be a commercial transaction. It's not, we're not saying we want to get free money, but we're simply saying that look, you provide capital at a rate which is going to stimulate economic activity, not at your 20-25%. I mean, I love what the commissioner was saying when he said that Lagos State has delivered over 5,000 housing. But let's look at the numbers. Nigeria currently has a deficit of about 28 million housing units. I bet you know the percentage that will probably be in Lagos State. If we are saying in Lagos State we delivered 5,000, that means there's still a whole chunk of people that have not been able to access housing. That means if we can push this sort of initiative that allows every one of us to be able to play at different scale, we'll not be able to access that capital to be able to do the project that we really want to achieve, the kind of impact we want to within the economy. That's the way in which I would address it, not looking at strictly what we've been able to do, but try to move the industry forward in terms of what can we do as a collective and actually change the narrative, not just for the big players, but for everybody within the industry.
All right, thank you so much for that one. And if that resonated with you, can you give me a round of applause, please? Now, my next question is going to be directed as Quantity Surveyor Bamidele. Now, what strategies can developers and policymakers implement to ensure that real estate projects meet the evolving needs of urban migrants and at the same time promote sustainability?
Thank you very much. There are a lot, because right now, all what we have had, there are a lot of challenges, particularly because of the increasing of the costs of basic materials. In fact, in the last 1 month, it was really alarming, seriously. In fact, most construction firms has to even shut down. They are just picking up now because suddenly around from February, the cost of iron, for example, started moving from 650,000 per ton, and it went as high as 1.8 million. It's just now that it's coming down to, as yesterday, around 1.25, 1,250,000. Same thing, cement. Cement went as high as 15,000. Just yesterday, around now at 9,000. So, like I've said, we really appreciate this forum, the Property Investment Conference. It's involved partnership, both public and private, because we need to provide an enabling environment. How can all these basic material costs come down? One, we need to step up production. And what affects production is energy. Most people are crying, there's no power. In fact, as of today, is a NEPA that is back up. Generator is debating. And that's why the cost of things are going up. Because they use diesel to produce. In fact, I was watching China yesterday when somebody, when it was one of the National Assembly members was trying to defend why the cost of cement, while other colleagues shouted on him. So, the main thing is, how can we help to put these things, government into help? Power, the cost of power has to come down. Because maybe power can be done, a lot of things will come down. So these are the things, the cost of materials. So these are the things that can assist in the production of housing. because as I have said, there are a lot of things to learn. Then also, I want to appreciate from what the Honourable Commissioner said. There are a lot of opening up of roads by Lagos State government. In Lekki, the road is almost completed to Ajah. They give kudos to Agoma, and some other internal roads too have been done. So if all those things, because accessibility is another thing that is very key for people to bring their products easily and then accessible. So these are some of the things that we need, because basically to get more affordable housing, we need the price need to come down. Like my colleague have just said, 5,000 houses is just a far cry from 28 million housing deficit. We need, and the importance of building construction cannot be emphasized, because it's opened up a lot of things: employment generation, economic value, and so on and so forth. So that is why we need, the government needs to partner with the private sector to see how can we make our construction sector booming again. And part of what we have emphasized is cost of material, cost of producing building material. We have a lot of companies producing their prices here and do the question is why is the price high? Then on steel, thank God that the government is trying to revive back the steel. If those things can come down, it will help. And then all this translates to other things. Because when cement comes down, it affects concrete, it affects block, it affects plastic, a lot of things in housing. It's dependent on cement. Also in iron, a lot of things are there. So cost of construction is just going up. And we need to bring it down, because people are not earning as much as these costs. Like if the cost of construction has gone up by almost 300%, when the salary, the income has even remained stagnant in the last few years. So we have a lot to do. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Now my next question goes, well, I feel like we should decide who is going to do this. Now, the question is, in what ways can innovative technologies and design principles, for example, 3D printing, be integrated into real estate development? That's to address the urban migration. What ways? Who's going to take it?
Okay. I'm very, very careful when it comes to the issue of technology. There was once upon a time we were trying to do a project in another African country, and whilst we were engaged in conversation, so they asked us, so what are you going to use in terms of technology? Are you going to use technology to deliver the property in 6 months? And the answer I gave is, are the people going to pay me in 6 months? I mean, if you're not going to pay me in 6 months, so why should I use technology to deliver the property in 6 months? But having said that, I think there are some aspects of technology that we can actually leverage in terms of our development. I remember when I first bought my inverter. This was like... No, I will not tell you the year so that you don't start saying. When I first bought my inverter, the person who sold it to me asked me, do you want to have solar on it? I was like, solar? No, I don't need solar, etc. and things like that. And do you know the reason why? The cost of solar was so expensive at that point in time. Fast forward to now, literally almost everybody is doing solar with their inverter. The point here is this: there are certain technologies which we cannot incorporate into our developments at this stage, primarily because of the cost. But yes, there are certain technologies which we can incorporate. For example, I know some developers have started considering using alternative source of energy as part of their development, instead of the typical thing of using generators as backup. Those are things which eventually reduce the overall cost of ownership for the infrastructure that you're handing over to the people. When it's clear that they don't basically have to fund the cost of diesel, etc. And now this is something that we have to think a bit further. The next thing I'm going to say is something we have to think. Don't you think we have to start considering doing vertical densification in Lagos State. Now, I'm sure immediately I shoot that point to everybody. The first thing you are saying is that, if you get stuck in the elevator and later takes away the lights, God help you while you are inside the elevator. But that's all part of us being able to leverage some of the existing technologies to be able to provide that level of security. Because the truth about it is that Lagos is a small piece of land. And if we think we're going to continue doing bungalow units, ground plus 3, ground plus 2, simply because we're trying to save cost on the elevator, I think we have to start thinking faster as developers within the industry. I'm going to take our minds back to something that happened in January 2016, precisely 7th of January. Doing today, you're basically importing the parts. If in the future I need to do maintenance, that means I need to wait for when you order it from wherever it is. The way in which I see some of these innovative technologies is that, look, until you get to the point whereby you actually have a local manufacturing assembly within the country, it's going to be difficult for you to roll it out on a mass scale. Because beyond just the initial delivery period, people think in terms of, look, what's the cost of maintenance? How am I going to, if I need a replacement, how long is it going to take me to get all those things replaced? So I don't doubt the fact, like I said, we need to be future thinking. I don't doubt the fact that we will get to that point. And to get to that point, and I'm sure we all know that there are a couple of developments that people have actually introduced, but of course we know those developments are on the premium end. It's similar to what happened with inverters, solar panels. Initially, the only people who are investing in solar panels were people on the high end. Now, literally almost everybody can invest in solar panels. And so I believe that's the way it's going to evolve. The industry is going to evolve. We're going to get to that point in time whereby the market is going to be large enough to encourage someone to actually make that level of investment, to build a plant locally, so that not only are you delivering, but you're also able to guarantee maintenance of those properties.
Thank you so much. Now, for my next question is, what role does affordable housing play in addressing the housing needs of urban migrants?
For affordable housing, we can look at flexible payment options as an important role it plays in terms of real estate developers now have realized that you can't just build and say pay and then move in. You need to give these people options, and then time to gather this money to make their payments. So we have flexible payment options now in terms of encouraging affordable housing. That's one. And then also we look at the aspect of, let me call it shell homes. Shell homes in terms of affordable housing. Shell homes that, okay, we build, this series of apartments, high-rise buildings, and then we can leave it at the shell level and then allow the homeowners or the house owners to take their time to do the finishing of their houses. So we also use that avenue to encourage affordable housing. So there are so many opportunities or avenues that we can use to encourage affordable housing. And also, if we also look at what is now prevalent in the Lekki axis of Lagos, we have what we call the twin or split plots, where we encourage the duplexes where you just have shared walls. You have these buildings that just have shared walls. So we are maximizing space to provide more housing. And the in thing now that's really helping us, especially for land developers that buy land in Lagos State, because it's so expensive when it comes to land acquisition, is the high rise. Just like 5, 6, 4, 5, 6 story. For now, most of them may not have lifts like he said. Just have
exercise.
Yes. So, but it's really helping us to look into affordable housing for people. So you can have condos that condominiums, they have apartments for lease or for rent that people can easily move in. So the concept of if I own a house, it must just be me or myself or my family on that property. It's now being phased out. You now have everybody, you can still buy that on the first floor or the second floor and still own that apartment or that condo. So that's the problem.
Before I move on from you, yes, I would like to know who is to blame exactly for the final consumers happen to be the renters mostly than the house owners. And who is to blame for this over expensive housing lifestyle, more or less? Because I would say maybe it's the migrants, maybe it's the developers, maybe it's the landlords, but who exactly is to blame?
Okay, I would say first off we have target markets. We have preferences in terms of people's taste and lifestyle. So all these we look at as developers before we go into our type of housing designs or construction. So if we have a demand for premium housing, we go for it. And then also we also consider the low level now has now become lower level. So I don't know what to classify that as. So we also consider this level of income earners, and then we provide, like I said, most times what really makes housing expensive is the finishing. And this is coming back again to the construction materials, the finishing. We say we have tiles that are locally produced in Nigeria, the petrified tiles, but they are still expensive and they are in categories. So finishing matters, even though we try as much as we can to make it less expensive and still maintain value, for this housing. But when we go to this market to buy this material to finish the house, it comes at a very high cost. And we are in business, we also need to either pass or share the cost. So then we can say manufacturers, if we have policymakers are here, if we have policies that kind of regulate these market prices, for us as real estate developers, I think it will go a long way, so that we know that okay, if we get a bill of a cost now, then we prepare a bill of quantities today. We can work with that bill of quantities for the next 3-6 months without any change. But right now, that's not what happens. You can prepare it today, the next minute, you need to readjust that bill. So the manufacturers will also have a part to play.
All right, thank you very much. Now for our last question, and again I'll repeat, if you have any questions, kindly, he's waving his hand, so if you have any questions, write it in the paper and give it to him, and I'll receive it. All right, for my last question, I'll be asking Quantity Surveyor Bamidele. Now, how can real estate investors and developers contribute to creation of inclusive and resilient urban communities, and also existing challenges posed for urban migration dynamics?
They can contribute a lot have been said by the estates developers. Part of it is in assisting, collaborating with government. Because there are a lot of things like I mentioned, challenges from the estate developers. You mentioned the increase interest rate. Brian mentioned 20%. As at today, it's about 30%. The interest rate is very high. And the environment mentioned in the discussion, the cost of land. That's why the partnership, the cost of land. But that's why government is moving up to the Lekki, to Badagry, to the area, and all those things. So that people can be able to get affordable land. Now, for the developer, we, like I've mentioned earlier, part of the things needed is they need support in terms of how can we bring down the cost of building materials, because they perform the magic. They need the cost of material to come down for them to be able to construct affordable housing for people. If not, like as mentioned, the cost of material will be affected. And then if government can open up, they can get facilities around which makes material to be brought there. But the main thing is still over around the cost of materials, the cost of building materials. So we really need to work on energy. I still emphasize it in producing so that all these things can be mass produced. When products are mass produced and brought down, it will help the developers to be able to build cheaply. Because like she mentioned, truly, cost of things, how can you prepare BOQ now in the present situation that within 1 or 2, 3 months you can beat your chest and say the price will maintain. In fact, in the last 1 or 2 months, it's really serious that you keep on revising. So these are the challenges. And on urban migration, what have been mentioned about the challenges of how to get houses, people to get affordable houses. It's very difficult. See that because of that are moving far. So people like areas like Lekki, and that's where we appreciate the governor. Transportation, because if we have a good network of transportation, you can live far where they can be able to get accommodation cheaper and still move down to the urban center to work, like is done in developed cities. Thank God for the blue rail, the red rail, and all these things. So with all this, those are the things that can help, because the cost of living or cost of accommodation in the urban center is very high. There is no doubt. And we know all the factors. But that is why opening up into the various hinterland will help. We need good network of transportation to help. Producing cheaper building material, it will help. And all those things. So for the developer, we just need to partner together, because they can't, there is no magic they want to perform. They still go to the same market to buy these products. So you can't tell them, okay, buy it and then build it cheaper. The essence of coming to the market is for profit. Is for profit. So everybody we need to collaborate. That's what I've just said. Both the developer, the government, and the private. We need to collaborate. All hands must be on deck to bring down this dollar and all the cost of materials, opening up and also. So all this together, I hope, one, because when you get the cost of land cheaper, building material cheaper and all these things. Then we will be able to get cheaper accommodation.
Thank you very, very much. Now, I know I said that was my last question. I have one more question. Because you have all spoken about collaboration, about joining with both the private sector, the developers, the government, and all of that. Now, I'd like to know in what way, and my question is directed to Mr. Tola. Yes. I'd like to know in what way, in your opinion, in what way can these collaborations happen? Because, I mean, we could say and open a WhatsApp group where everybody will join, so you know what's going on with everybody. Yes, but how exactly can this collaboration come?
Okay, thank you very much. I think one of the things I'd like to say with successive governments in Nigeria is the fact that most governments in Nigeria are open to working with the private sector. I think that's the first thing I'd like to get out of the way. The second thing which I also want everyone to realize is that being in government means you have a lot of monkeys that are jumping on your back every day. It basically means that every time you come to the government, you don't come to the government with a problem. You need to learn to come to the government with a problem and a solution. Now, so you've asked the question, how can we look in terms of collaborating with the government? What I've tried to do is, okay, so first when I answered the first question, I tried to talk in terms of the supply side, in terms of what's being able to get finance, something in which we can probably, as a collective, try to push forward. Now, I'm going to ask everybody in this house a question. How much do you consider is affordable housing? What price? What price? 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 Come on, let's see. So what did you say? I haven't heard anything. Everybody just So what did you say? 10 million. Okay. 10 million going once. 10 million. Anybody else? 15. Okay. So 10 million, 15. Anybody else? Sorry. So 5 million. Good. So it's like everybody's moving in the ranges of 5, 15. Now, can I ask you a question? The prices that you called, did you call them on the basis that you need to bring all that money out of your pocket? Now, supposing I ask you that if you had to pay that money over 30 years, how much do you think will now become affordable to you? You see, that's the way in which we need to start looking at affordable housing. It's not so much in terms of pricing of the property, but in terms of how people are able to pay. For example, let me give you an example. If you tell me that, look, I'm going to buy a 30 million property and I have 30 years to pay that 30 million, it becomes affordable, right? As against if you give me, for example, a 5 million property and you tell me that I need to pay it in 6 months, it's not affordable. And so, the way in which I look at us being able to create partnerships with the government, like I talked in terms of the supply side. Now let's even talk in terms of the demand side. The biggest problem for people is being able to bring out that cash to pay. So if we can find a way of extending the length in which they have to pay whatever the price of the property is, that means there's a possibility that a lot more people will be able to buy the property. Now, the biggest set of people that have money, that basically are just sitting on money, are the PFAs. At the moment, they have, give or take, about 17 trillion in assets. And about 60% of that is invested in government funds. That means they are already familiar with issuing bonds, etc. and things like that. And they basically are sitting on long-term capital. So that means if as a collective, if we can actually get, for example, the government to issue a particular instrument that is targeted at providing mortgages, that means effectively what you do is with that instrument, you have long-term money that is able to provide 20 to 30-year mortgages. You basically capitalize PMIs to be able to have funding, to be able to provide long-term mortgages. And then it no longer becomes a problem in terms of, how much are we about to sell the property? You know, His Excellency BRF said something once. I said, please show me where I can buy low-cost cement, and then I will deliver low-cost housing for you. And I know everybody basically, you don't like it, but that's the truth. We all go to the same market to go and buy everything, you understand? So really, it's not so, we don't have so much control about the inputs, but if we can find a way of, managing how people can actually pay, that's the other side. Now, in terms of collaborating with the government, like I said, it's very important. My company had the opportunity of doing an urban renewal project with Lagos State some years back. How many are familiar with the Oluwale urban market? Okay, that means all the people we go to ShopRite. Those people that go to Lagos Island, we know ourselves. Now, that was an urban renewal project which we did with Lagos State. Now, we came to the project, Lagos State was trying to redevelop. How many of you know about Oluwale when Oluwale was Oluwale? What was it about? Rough area, Ford certificate, etc., and things like that. Now, we came into that.
Fake passports.
Fake passports. Okay, I don't know about that. Now, the point here is this. For that project to work, we had to go into a lot of stakeholder management. Look, for example, you had the Oluwale families that were the owners of that land. You had your area boys there. You had the traders who are trading there. You basically had to manage every one of this. So, for example, like the Oluwale families, as compensation for wanting to build that project, we bought an apartment for every one of them in Shasha, LSDPC Shasha, and then we gave each one of them a shop within the development. For the people that were selling in that particular market previously, we gave them a first right of refusal on particular units if they wanted to buy. For the typical people that you basically had who are selling on the store, instead of creating just only your traditional stores where you had we had your cake lamps, aka Iso. If you know Iso, you know Iso. The point I'm trying to make here is that as private sectors, when we go to meet with the government, we need to come with a comprehensive solution. And the truth about it is that we had to learn on the job. Fortunately, at that time, we had a lot of input from the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Housing, the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Physical Planning. They were very helpful in helping us to even navigate, how you have to deal with all different people, etc. and things like that. So, in terms of collaborating with the government, yes, we have to talk about how we're going to help the people that want to buy our products. We have to look at ways of making it easier for them. But at the same time, even when we come to present projects to the government, we need to make sure as much as possible we are doing the heavy lifting, because there are so many other monkeys that are basically climbing on the backs of the people in the government. That would be my thoughts on that.
All right, thank you very much. Now let's move on to the question and answer segment. Okay, so we have several questions here, but I'll start with this one, I guess. This question says, what is the best solution with the present economy we find ourselves in? The cost to build material is so high and the salary revenue in Nigeria is not increasing. So what is the best solution in this present economy for migrating? Thank you. That's the first question. And this particular one is directed to Mr. Tola Akinsiri. Now it says, with the emergence of intelligent smart homes as a crucial frontier of digital transformation, how does the Nigerian real estate market secure global competitiveness, considering that we are still grappling with elementary issues, and this in line with the commitment of the Lagos State government to the 2030 smart city vision? That's our second question. Let me just feed on with that. And this one says, define affordable housing and how much is affordable housing. I believe you answered this. And for the last question, it says, how do we mitigate cost overruns in the real estate industry to boost urban migration and reduce the housing deficit in the country? All right, so our first question, I'm guessing you will answer the second one. Yes. And the best solution for present economy will be answered by our quantity surveyor. And for the last question, will be answered by Shola. All right. First question. What is the best solution with the present economy?
The best solution where we find ourselves now. Well, first trace of things is we all have manufacturing, production is the main thing. Because as long as we keep on importing all these materials and the exchange rate is going up, well, it's not we can do. We need to think outside the box. How do we manufacture those things ourselves in the country? Thank God, if our steel industry can come up in Nigeria and the price can come down. We thank God also for all these minerals, solid minerals. We have a lot. We have a lot in this country. So some of these things can be used. We have both the natural minerals and so we just need to harness them and then people to produce. One of the major fundamental solutions which I would prefer is production of building materials. If we can produce and then there is a the cost of energy can be brought down. I don't know how we can solve that horrible problem. It's a major problem in this country. Electricity. If electricity can be brought down and the cost of manufacturing can come down, a lot of people are springing up. You'll be amazed. Go travel along Ibadan, Lagos Ibadan Expressway, and a lot of factories, that's why my brother mentioned, all these building materials, I don't want to advertise it, there are a lot of them along the stretch there. So, but their complaint is cost of energy. So if the energy can be brought down, the cost of manufacturing can be brought down, I think it will help us a lot. You can imagine today if the cost of cement crashes, if the cost of iron, someone was doing that we are complaining. He said in the 70s, a lot, he mentioned that they are producing in Nigeria, even including gas, Volkswagen, all those things in Oaks there, and one in Pidot in Kaduna, oil palm in the east, cocoa in the west, many all these minerals we import, we export, and we earn say that our, as at 1980, Naira was stronger than dollar. But today, because virtually everything up to toothpick we import. We are talking about building materials. I can tell you close to over 90 or 95% are imported. We are talking about when you are talking technology, all those things are still imported. They are still imported. So the cost will keep on going up. The only thing is one, we need to produce. Two, we need to change our orientation. We too should like Nigerian-made products. We need to change our orientation so that we patronize our products, make, in the process, we'll be able to perfect and get the product more better. But when we don't, then the cost will keep on going up. So, solution is cost of production to come down, energy, and then thirdly, we should change our orientation, use Nigerian-made products. And then government was already trying, open up, so that if we cannot rent in the main Ikoyi, VI, if there's no transportation system, you can stay in the Lekki, you can stay in Korodu, where there's a ferry can bring you, or line, rail, and so on. So these are some of the things that will help us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause. Now for our second question, directed at Mr. Tola. Do I need to? Okay. So the question says, with the emergence of intelligent smartphones as a crucial frontier of digital transformation, how does the Nigerian real estate market secure global competitiveness, considering that we are still grappling with elementary issues? And this is in the line with the commitment of the Lagos State government to the 2030 Smart City vision.
Okay, to answer that question, I'd like to take a different direction to answer that question. Now, there are four things that are important in the mind of anybody, any customer that you're dealing with in terms of buying a product, what your real estate. Number one, he hopes that that product is going to be able to. He hopes that that product, by buying it, he's able to save some cost, either in the cost of acquiring it or the cost of maintaining it. Number three, he hopes that. Number four, he hopes that he's going to live a better life by having that product. Now, when I look at where we are in terms of what we want our development life cycle to actually create live, work, and play environments. What I mean by that is that, look, not only should we be developing residences within one enclave, we should have the opportunity of people to be able to work without having to go outside of that location, have opportunities for people to be able to play. So we need to incorporate that even into our development. So before we start talking about building as developers, I'm talking as if from a developer's perspective. Before we even start talking about us building smart cities, intelligent monitoring system and things like that, I think we will need to first involve our development cycle to actually create simple live, work, and play environments, whereby people don't feel obligated to actually leave that residential enclave to want to go outside to do anything else. So yes, in terms of smart developments, and I'm sure you probably noticed, those things are few and scattered here and then, more of your premium developments. Like I said, we have a life cycle. People's lifestyle to get them to the point of building an environment whereby they can get everything they need for live, for work, for play, within the same small environment. They don't have to commute far away. Then we can start, from a developer's point of view, to start rolling up to doing all this smart city integration. I think from the government side, yes, the government might be able to introduce some of those monitoring. I'm sure you maybe drive past Alausa anyhow. It will catch you anyhow like that, you know that. Do you understand? So I know that on the government side, they are introducing some of those things, but from a developer standpoint, there is still a lot we need to get in terms of the development life cycle before we start making it a mass scale. So yes, I agree. We're going to be behind for a while in terms of that, and I'm okay with us being behind whilst we deliver more value based on the current environment that we find ourselves in.
Thank you very much. Now, before we carry on, can I answer that? Okay. I just want to make an announcement. Before we carry on, if you're driving an AA391GS, a black Jeep, you're blocking someone, kindly go and repark. AAA 391GS, a black Jeep. Thank you.
Some years ago, some communal university students came up with an idea, and that's to answer the question of relocating international space. They came up with this idea. They were able to convert plastic materials as an alternative to blocks that are alternative to what we use for paved stones. Yes. So, and I tell you, when I saw that idea, which also got international awards, I was so impressed that we have talent within the country. But 3 years down the line now, that idea is just in the cooler. Nobody is funding, nobody is encouraging all these talents to come up for these alternative building materials production so that we can use. So for us to be able to compete in the national space, we need to encourage internal participation and ideas. People, when they bring it, let's fund, let's encourage and put it out there.
All right, thank you.
Also, I just want to add something. The whole world also is also going green building. It's another way things can be brought down, reduce cost of energy. And go green, that is even in a design that we design so that we have less dependence on AC, on all these energy consuming things, products. As far as we have natural air is free and many things. So green building also can be alternative and all those things. So I want to encourage us on green building to embrace green building. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Now for the last question, and I'd like to wrap up quickly. This goes to you, Shola. It says, how do we mitigate cost overruns in the real estate industry to boost urban migration and reduce the housing deficit in the country? I think you just mentioned that now. Both of you just mentioned green buildings, and you two. I think we're done. All right, thank you very, very much. Now, before we wrap up, I would just like you to say just one sentence in wrapping up, just one sentence each. Thank you.
I think for me, the one sentence which I would like to give to everybody is, come up with solutions. It's simple. Come up with solutions. Don't whine about the problem. Come up with solutions. Thank you.
I would like to say let's create more access to these funds for individuals and working class people. Let's create more access to funds.
I will be directed to our commissioner and special advisor on housing that if government is doing great, government is always doing great, but if we can further reduce the bottleneck for people, developers, and private people that want to build, a lot of things that they have introduced, even I just planned of recent, not only about going through all the approvals, all those things, LAFCA, now you need to pay LASA. You need to pay LASA to bring sideboard, so it's just increasing the body. So we can reduce it as we are opening up the road. It's a good one. Yes, to get people to be able to understand. As much as possible, we can reduce the body a little bit for the people. It will help people to be able to build faster, get approval, and then bring down the cost. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Commissioner would like to respond to that.
Actually, I think it's imperative for us sitting here as government to say some things, because from all the discussions, you see government coming up, and if we are kept quiet and just go away, to mean that we are just taking things away. Because we also need to let people know that they are just as he said. I'm very impressed. There are roles for government and there are roles for citizens. And it is the citizens that people government. They are not bringing people from elsewhere to come and govern us. With this democracy, we put them there. But just to say some things, that we also need to appreciate the fact that Nigeria, at a particular point, we have to face our challenges. If naira and dollars, if we have been bridging dollars since the period of Abacha, if you have connection, you buy at 22 and you sell at 70 from Abacha period till today. And the government came in and said, no, I will no longer do this. It's like you don't want to postpone that thing that will come up eventually. All you need to do between that period and now is to have the necessary connection with CPN, get your dollar, and go out there. And that has continually, even oil that we kept on talking about, is not the largest contributor to it. In the actual fact, when we talk about budget, that even people talk about, the real economy is actually operating mostly outside budget. So I just want to put that in, so that we also understand that part. And when we talk about mortgage and affordability and just as you said, yes, what is take away? I will take home for an average Nigerian worker. We should take if one of our schemes. Because the governor will always say, for low-income earners, bring the price down. At times, up to 50%, 100%. We are selling a one-bed apartment in Odonosa today at 3.5 million. Yes, we sold, because deliberately we use money we receive from, we get from the high net worth individual to help the low-income earners. We sold the Gondo, 2 beds, 6.5. But it will even take, with mortgage over 10 years, 5%, 6% simple interest rate, it will take a level 14 officer in the civil service to be able to afford that. So we are looking at all these problems, and we are talking about every day in government, how do we encourage? For instance, we have encouraged people that are building for the upper class. We are asking them to come into the low-income area, and some of them are yielding. We have projects in Ibadan, we have in Imota, that we encourage them to come in, so that, and we are looking at all the variables in terms of technology and the rest to bring the price down. Some banks are even approaching us now that they want to do mass housing and setup. We have new hope agenda, and what government is doing just to collaborate. New hope, the new hope agenda is for housing, is driven by private sector, and that's the reality. So we just want to say that we should please be patient with government. There will be a government that will come on board and say, let us frontally attack this. So that means there will be pain. We can decide to postpone, just as we had before. If the government of today say we are no longer going to depend Naira, definitely we all agree that if electricity is allowed to, you can produce if you want to produce. But what about the cost? How about how is it going to affect food pockets? And if you imagine that if it is so liberalized now that you can have your factory and you can run them cheaply by electricity on your own without even government. So, but we have taken those parts that are, we will continue to work on it, and we also always want this kind of thing so that you can put us on edge. And to answer your last question, what Lagos is targeting is a one-stop shop. So that we go into a place and all you need to do, and you see we have EGIs now that you don't have to come to Alausa before you do your. And we are live now. It has gone live. So we will continue to improve. We are not yet there, and we know that we have a lot of work to do. But I can assure you, what you have now is a thinking government, and government that is also ready to learn. And that's why we are here to also hear you out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, we have come to the end of the first panel. Thank you so much for being a good listener. And of course, let's put our hands together for my panelists.
To our panelists for that very brilliant session. I must say that this is one of the most interesting panels I've ever listened to. So a very big round of applause to our panelists once again.